Trauma and the brain. How healing rewrites neural pathways. Imagine walking into a dark room. You flip the switch, but instead of light, you're hit with a loud bang. Your heart races, your muscles tense, your breath shortens. From then on, every time you touch a light switch, even in safe places, you brace for the bang. That's what trauma does to the brain. It takes a single terrifying experience and wires it into your body, so even harmless signals feel like danger. But here's the hopeful part. Just as trauma writes those fear pathways, healing can rewrite them, and today we're going to explore how. Through the story of a woman named Sarah, we'll see how neuroplasticity helps the brain recover from trauma, and why healing is always possible, no matter how long ago the wounds were made. Sarah was 32 when she realized her trauma was running her life. She was walking through a crowded supermarket when a man accidentally brushed past her shoulder. To anyone else, it was a minor, everyday moment. But to Sarah, it felt like an alarm bell. Her chest tightened, her palms went clammy, her vision narrowed. She abandoned her cart and fled the store. This wasn't new. For years, she had avoided crowded places, loud noises, or even watching certain movies. Anything that reminded her of what she went through. Her friends thought she was sensitive. She thought she was broken, but her therapist explained something that changed everything. You're not broken. Your brain is protecting you the only way it knows how. And with practice, we can teach it a new way. That was Sarah's first introduction to neuroplasticity and trauma healing. Trauma's blueprint in the brain. To understand what Sarah was going through, let's break down the science. When we experience trauma, whether it's abuse, violence, accidents, or even prolonged stress, the brain goes into survival mode. The amygdala becomes hyperactive. This is the alarm bell, always scanning for danger. The hippocampus, which processes memory and helps distinguish past from present, often shrinks. That's why trauma survivors feel like the danger is happening right now, even years later. The prefrontal cortex, which controls logic and decision-making, goes offline during triggers. It's like the rational part of the brain loses its voice. So instead of calmly processing, "That was then, this is now," the traumatized brain reacts as if the past is the present. It's not weakness. It's wiring. Sarah's past Sarah had grown up in a household where shouting and slammed doors were part of daily life. Her father had a quick temper, and as a child she never knew what might set him off. For years her brain adapted by staying hypervigilant, constantly scanning for the smallest cues of danger. A raised eyebrow, a change in tone, a hand lifted too quickly. Her brain was doing its job, keeping her safe. But the wiring didn't switch off when she became an adult. Instead, it kept sounding alarms even when there was no threat. That's the cruel legacy of trauma. It outlives the event itself. The healing journey begins. When Sarah started therapy, she was introduced to a concept that felt radical. Your brain can change. She learned that every time she practiced calming skills, challenged her fears, or safely revisited memories, she was nudging her brain toward new pathways. Here's how it unfolded. Step 1. Regulating the body, her therapist explained. Before we can rewire the mind, we have to calm the body. Because the brain listens to the body's signals. Sarah began with simple practices, breathing techniques, slowing her exhale to tell her nervous system she was safe. Grounding exercises, naming 5 things she could see, 4 she could touch, 3 she could hear, 2 she could smell, 1 she could taste. Body scans, noticing where she held tension and releasing it. At first, these seemed too simple, but slowly, her body stopped treating every small stress as a 5-alarm fire. And each time her body calmed, her brain learned, not every cue means danger. Step 2. Reframing the memories. Next came the hardest part, facing her traumatic memories. Sarah had always avoided thinking about her past, but avoidance kept the fear circuit alive. To rewire it, she had to process it safely. With her therapist, she revisited key moments, not to relive them, but to reframe them. They practiced trauma-focused therapy techniques, like EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. By reactivating the memory while engaging the rational brain, Sarah's mind began to file it away properly, as something in the past. Not the present. It was painful, but it was progress. Step 3. Building new experiences. Trauma had taught Sarah, the world is dangerous. People can't be trusted. To rewire this belief, she needed new experiences that proved otherwise. She joined a local yoga class. At first, being in a crowded room made her heart race. But week by week, she discovered that the other women were kind. The instructor was gentle, and nothing bad happened. Each safe interaction carved a new neural pathway. Connection can be safe. Over time, these new experiences began to outweigh the old ones. What the science shows Sarah's journey is backed by research. Studies using brain scans show that trauma therapy doesn't just change behavior, it changes the brain. Amygdala activity decreases, fewer false alarms. Hippocampus volume increases, better separation of past versus present. Prefrontal cortex reactivates, rational thinking comes back online during triggers. In other words, healing literally rewires the trauma circuits. The breakthrough moment one day, Sarah realized something profound. She was at a concert surrounded by noise and crowds. Normally this would have triggered panic. But this time she felt her heart race, and instead of running she took a deep breath, grounded herself and whispered, "This is not then. This is now. I am safe." And for the first time in years she stayed. She laughed. She danced. Her brain had learned a new way. Lessons for all of us even. If you haven't experienced severe trauma, Sarah's story holds lessons for everyone. The brain learns both pain and healing. Trauma wires fear, but practice wires safety. Avoidance strengthens fear. Facing triggers safely weakens old pathways. Small steps matter. Each breath, each calm moment, each safe experience builds new wiring. Healing is physical. It's not just positive thinking. It's measurable brain change. The hope beyond trauma. There's a saying in neuroscience, neurons that fire together, wire together. For trauma survivors, that once meant fear pathways were locked in. But now we know healing is possible, because with therapy, practice, and support, new neurons fire together, wiring safety, calm, and trust. Sarah isn't an exception. She's proof of what every human brain can do. Closing and CT Hasso, if you've ever thought, "I'll never heal," or "My brain is broken forever," remember Sarah's story. Remember that trauma doesn't define you. It's just a set of pathways your brain built to survive. And pathways can always be rewritten. If this story gave you hope, imagine what else your brain can do. That's what we explore here every week. Real stories, real science, and real tools to rewire your mind. So don't miss out. Subscribe to our channel today and join us on this journey of healing, growth, and transformation.